In this video, I will be revisiting my entries for the AMV Minis Challenges. On the 17th of July 2013, the very first AMV Minis Challenge video appeared on YouTube. What some could call the challenge season of AMV Minis would last until the 10th of January 2015. Over the course of 18 months, 32 challenge rounds were produced, with a total of 566 entries being accepted for it. And of these 566 entries, 26 of them were mine. In this video retrospective, I'll share a few memories, insights, and maybe reveal a little secret or two along the way. My very first contribution, sure enough, was the first entry to be seen in the first round, and the theme for the opening round was AMV Hell. Here is what I made. This video is a modern remake of an AMV Hell classic, Gendoned from AMV Hell 2. However, I also made a second reference, specifically to AMV Minis Season 1, Episode 11, which featured a running gag of Tenma Sakamoto shooting Harima through the heart. Look closely and you'll notice that the bloodstain on Yuffie's cheek switches sides. I decided to mirror the original footage to make sure that she was always facing screen right. That way, when Tenma shoots, the direction of the shot goes from right to left, Yuffie takes the shot, and she falls in the same direction. Consistency. Here is my first secret. This video contains a hidden message. As a matter of fact, it contains two. And these messages can be found in the black bars at the very end. On the left side of the screen, you can just barely read the message, "I like custard and cake." On the right side of the screen, you can read the message, "People who ask what anime is that should be castrated." Now, it is true that I do like custard and cake, but no, I do not feel that people who ask what anime is that deserve castration. But they did and still do annoy me. As a starting entry goes, this video isn't particularly good or special in any way. It isn't funny so much as it is incredibly geeky. Still, this was the very first entry of the very first AMV challenge rounds. The whole thing started with one of my videos, and I'm kind of proud of that. The second challenge was Parody Song. All around me are these ugly bastards. Not a lot to say about this one. It's short, simple, and Swiss. This was not the first time I used High School of the Dead in an AMV clip, and it would not be the last. I can't believe I did this, but if you listen closely to the end, you'll notice that I faded out the audio. I am deeply ashamed of myself. What can I say? I was young and foolish. Misheard lyrics. You big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place. Another simple entry, the misheard lyric of course being "kicking your can all over the place." Frankly, it always sounded like cat to me. This entry contains not only a hidden message, but also some graffiti. I gave Shingo a smile, not unlike a troll face, and I also hid a message in the sidebars yet again. Mercury is the best scout, and I love black bars and poor quality video. This is a lie, but this is the truth. Metal. K-On and K-Ow. Why not? It felt like the video was lacking something, however, and that's when I stumbled across the AMV Anime Metal by Velho. I saw the look of the K-On girls with the face paint and thought, this is just way too perfect to not use. All I did was desaturate the colors. Velho was credited in the video source, but still, this was pretty cheeky of me to just repackage their hard work like this. This is basically theft, and the kind of thing that I would never do nowadays. For the next challenge, Sugar Dose, I had no ideas. For the next one, the 90s, still had no ideas. K-pop, none. The Fox, none. Original audio, I had an idea, but just couldn't make it work. Frankly, I'm glad I didn't enter anything for this one. I did manage to get something made for the buddy system, however. But just look at it.
Drink, 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 drink.
After missing 5 challenges, this is what I came back with. My worst looking, worst sounding, and least amusing entry. Somehow, this managed to look even worse in the official video release. Just look at that. Now, I would argue that my buddy's subject of Use a Song Sung by Christopher Lee left me with precious little material to work with. Could I have done better? Who knows. Old memes. The old meme I was referencing here was Do Not Want. The character's name is Yuki, which means snow, and snow sounds like no. Of course, for this to work, I had to add a s to the start of no. Unfortunately, this is a case of joke theft. I stole the idea from a You're the Man Now dog page. It was a nice little coincidence that the two characters share a similar-ish pose when they deliver the line, giving the two sources a slightly stronger connection, but to be fair, this entry is pretty weak. Secret Santa. One of the special requirements of this round was to hide a secret Santa somewhere in the video. I took things a step further and I actually hid 2, one at the start and one at the end. I decided to use black and white footage to censor the blood because, well, this is a Christmas entry, and I wanted everyone to have a nice Christmas. We didn't need to see red blood. By the way, it was 100% intentional that this shot appeared with the lyric Baby. If you've seen the show, and I highly recommend that everyone does, you'll know why. Instead of wishing a happy or merry Christmas, I went with Nice Christmas to make a reference to the infamous Nice Boat meme. Maybe I just had memes on the mind because of the previous challenge. 2013.
Hey, Cat. Are the scenes in this game fappable? Can I fap to this game?
Matt, what the f*** is wrong with you?
As you might expect, the requirement for this round was to use sound and video from sources created in 2013. Watamote was a 2013 show, but the audio was taken from a YouTube video published in 2013, but reviewing a visual novel released in 2012. So I may have followed the text of the rules, but not so much the spirit of them. Well, Zarxrex figured it was close enough, so here we are. I made a couple of subtle alterations to the video, adding Vader time to the game text, and changed this character's facial expression to make her look more annoyed when she spoke. Of course, there's also the awesome face used as a censor. The reason I did this is because it had already been done by Har the Dragon Lord back in AMV Minis Season 2, and I liked it. I wanted to keep the practice alive. By the way, this entry was my first mint. And speaking of mints, beatbox. There are 6 fireworks at the end because Umi raised the flag at a time ending with a 6. The number of points earned are also accurate to what you would get at the end of a Super Mario Bros. Level. If you look really closely, you'll notice that for 2 frames, the score displays 2 boobs. Whenever I have the opportunity to sneak a boob or boobs into a video, I like to take it. In the source footage I used, the flags did not loop, so I had to create an original loop. As a result, you may notice that the flags look a little bit off for a couple of frames, but if you don't pay too close attention to them, it doesn't look too bad. Now, with all of this attention to detail, you'd think I would have noticed the watermark in the bottom right of the picture, but no, this completely escaped my notice. What a blunder. Clearly, my head was up in the clouds, and I missed the apple for the trees. That's not funny.
She tastes like bacon. Yeah, there's no mistaking. From the loving to the other, yeah, you know I love bacon. She's a
This was my third mint in a row. With context, this scene is actually very sweet. The boy is licking the girl's skin to prove that he isn't afraid of her scars, and he accepts her. Of course, by changing the music as I did, I made the scene look highly inappropriate. Taking something reverent and making it irreverent. That's AMV Hell the way it should be. Once again, I added a hidden message to the black borders. Abandon all optimism, ye who enter the AMV Hell forums. It would have been around about this time I started to notice some less than desirable opinions and behaviors from some of the various characters frequenting the forums. I won't go too deep into this, but let's just say the AMV Hell forums during the AMV Minis Challenge period was an interesting time. AMV Vines. Now, because Vines were so short, we were allowed 3 entries for this round instead of just the 1. So, here's my first.
Ooh, this is my jam. Turn that song off. This is my jam.
You may have missed the hidden portrait of Gem. Ah, Gem. More on her later. At the end, not only did I desync her eyelids when she blinked, I also gave her a Sharingan eye and a Gyas eye. I know, that Gyas eye isn't very convincing. You may be wondering, why did I do this? I did it because I could. Submission number 2.
When it's cold outside, I'm gonna keep my black ass in this house today.
The awesome censor makes another appearance. There's not a lot to say about this one, but there was one old comment that I received for this that I felt like responding to. He's not black, you say. Well, about that. What is the character's name? There you go. That's the connection. Submission number 3.
I will tell you a good idea. Go get a fish, a very big fish like this.
Once again, there's a barely hidden portrait of Gem at the start. Now, the reason this was added was all because of a comment made by an AMV Hell forum user after the announcement of this round's theme. It was obvious that a Gem entry wouldn't be able to be forced into this round the way it had been in so many of the previous rounds. So I took it upon myself to add in Gem as an Easter egg. It was just a little inside gag, pure and simple. The face on the fish that appeared at the end was that of the original Vine's creator. I suppose it was a bit cheap of me to do this, but I think it works. The concept of love.
Oh, what have we here? It's a young, unmarried couple who are about to let their hormones get the best of them. I guess the old saying is true. Sex kills.
The later card here is special for 2 reasons. 1, the card is taken not from the show itself, but the comedy OVA Valentine Days. Number 2, there's more hidden graffiti, and it's yet another Gem Easter egg. Unnecessary censorship.
Come on, that little controller, baby, that looks like a dildo. I ain't trying to play my games with no dildo.
I knew that the vast majority of the entries for this round would use audio bleeps, so I wanted to do something more visual with my censorship instead. This is not my best work. I mean, by editing in a foreign element and censoring it, I essentially created a case of necessary censorship, which actually broke the theme of the round. So technically, this one really should have been disqualified. There are 2 pieces of graffiti in this video, the obvious one being Cena sucks, a reference to the wrestler. And the Mahora Academy emblem has been added to Kyon's blazer, which is a reference to Negima. Why did I do that? I don't remember. The 80s. I have kept this secret for many years now, but I feel that the time has finally come for me to be honest. I am Outrageous Chaz, and this was my entry for this challenge. As you can probably tell, it's a Gem video. It's surrounded by comments expressing hatred for Gem, alongside flashing pink bars that were put there specifically to be annoying. It tells a completely nonsensical joke that doesn't have any kind of connection with the video source, and it ends with a fourth wall breaking, big fat middle finger to the audience. This is a troll video. I even named the file Allegory. This was supposed to enrage people. However, this entry tied for the most votes to win the round it appeared in. What can I say except this just might be my greatest failure. Once again, I fiddled with the character's eyes in this shot. I like fiddling with eye colours. It's easy to do, and it can be a fun little detail that makes an audience go, hey, wait a minute, let me see that again. Now, regarding the individual dancing next to Gem at the end. While I did keep their face hidden, I never asked permission to use their appearance this way, and I have never revealed their identity, and I never will. Still, the individual knows who they are, and they never expressed any anger over my use of their image in this shot. You could say they were a good sport. I couldn't make anything on time for the fandom challenge, but for country, I came up with this.
We knew she had a set, but when she got them both wet, you could see everything. I just stood there in awe.
Oh boy, this entry has a lot of graffiti. First of all, this shot has 3 foreign elements. In the top right, and most visibly, we can see the anti-Gem logo. After the failure of the 80s challenge, I decided to stop playing nice and make sure that any future reference to Gem would be a negative one, even if it was only a background Easter egg. In the bottom right, we see the message, Gem sucks. I think that's self-explanatory. In the top left, however, is a reference not to Gem, but to the previous challenge round. Challenge 21, this is what I have to deal with. Of all of the rounds, this was the one to receive the most submissions, 37 in total. I consider this round one of the worst things AMV Hell has ever produced. And with this piece of graffiti, I was calling each and every one of those 37 contributors idiots for taking part in it. The final shot has a total of 3 separate eye color changes. Did you spot them all? And of course, we see a Woody spring up. Woody being a substitute for a Woody. I hope you enjoy my subtle symbolism. Drop it.
Centipede.
In this shot, there are 3 pieces of graffiti. The anti-Gem logo, naturally, Gem sucks, and a very special message, don't vote for this. Apparently, nobody saw this, or if they did see it, they chose to ignore it, because this entry would go on to receive the most votes for this challenge. There's not much to say about this one on the technical side of things. It was just a short, simple idea, and a few people enjoyed it, and I'm grateful for that. The next challenge round was art, but I'm going to leave this one for later. Time Warp.
They say when you meet the love of your life, time stops. What they don't tell you is that once time starts again, it moves extra fast to catch up.
An anti-Gem logo appears during the time freeze, and a troll face appears on the 3rd cycle of the loop. Gaming.
That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco.
depending on how you want to define this one, the idea for this entry was either heavily inspired by, or just outright stolen from a video made by Har for the AMV tennis thread back on the AMV Hell forums. You may be surprised to hear that this entry contains no graffiti for a change. Instead, it's just packed with lots of little details. For starters, there's the player icons. Star Platinum and Jotaro are teammates, so they are both green. Their logo is a star, because Jotaro is a Joestar and his stand is the star. Steely Dan's logo is a heart, because his stand is the lovers. Creating the little head graphics for Dan and Jotaro was easy enough, but I had to give Star Platinum a haircut for his. And admittedly, it does look a bit silly. The damage values on Jotaro and Star Platinum match what was seen in the original video. I decided to give Jotaro the higher value because he looks like the most wounded of the two. As always, whenever there's an opportunity to insert a boob, I take it. Before he's finally knocked out, Dan's damage percent reads over 9,000. For this round, I decided not to vote, and I regret it. Because if I had voted, this entry would have tied for first place. WTF.
So I said to my son, hey, you best not watch that there Chinese shit, cause the makers have been smoking some seriously nasty shit. He said, what can I watch? I said, at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Then my son said, yeah, but I can't sleep. Then I say, okay, I'm gonna sit on something for you that's good for your health. So I put on Avatar the Last Beer Bender and went to a party club and had sex 2 times with some girls. And then I went home and I saw my son watching American and I was like, what you fun day, son? And I took his face and rammed it up my dog's hole.
Surprisingly, despite there being big black bars on the sides of the screen, I did not add any hidden messages in this entry. The awesome sensor appears for one last time, and I added a little Easter egg with Avatar the Last Beer Bender's beer being a bottle of Zarx's remake.
I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves, yes, on everybody's nerves, and this is how it goes.
What does the fox say?
I know. The only reason this entry received the most votes is because the Fox Challenge was so notoriously unpopular. It was just good timing that was on my side. Excalibur getting a hole shot through his chest is original animation, and the sound of him hitting the ground is taken from Liar Liar. It felt like the ending was missing something, so I decided to put in an ending card. You probably didn't notice the hidden message, "Thanks, Urahara." I put that in to thank forum member Urahara1001 because they suggested I use the Looney Tunes ending. This entry really wasn't anything special. I am way more proud of the remake job I did for the entire round itself. The theme for Challenge 29 was AMV. You've got to give Zarxrax points for creativity on that one.
Now I'm gonna make you dance, it's your chance, yeah boy, shake that ass. Oops, I mean girl, girl, you know you're my world. Alright, now lose it, just lose it, go crazy, oh baby, baby.
If it hadn't been for this video, which appeared in Challenge 26, I never would have seen Plastic Nasan, and I never would have made this entry. This would be my final submission to be produced with graffiti. You may have been too distracted to see this, but if you look very closely, and this is really subtle, I did change the characters' eye colors. And if you look to the clouds, you can see AMV Hell 7 sucks. Intro parody.
Fabulous secrets were revealed to me the day I held aloft my sword and said, "For the honor of Grayskull!" I am She-Ra! We and my friends of the Great Rebellion strive to free Etheria from the evil forces of Horda!
This entry was by far the most difficult to make. The lip syncing at the start was a nightmare. If you look really closely, you'll notice that the skin tone isn't a perfect match on some of the lip flaps. That's because there are too many subtle lighting changes going on in the original animation. It just became too much of a hassle to make it match frame by frame. You can blame Ufotable for that. Still, I think I got away with it for the most part. When she lifts up her sword, the funny distortion you see on her face is something we see in the original source. However, in the original, her lips were sealed. Since I needed her mouth open, I had to add lips, then distort them to be consistent with the rest of her face. When she uses the sword, I had to make changes to the lip syncing yet again. If you go frame by frame, you'll notice that sometimes the mouth looks a bit weird. It's more obvious when you notice the inconsistencies in the water droplets. Of course, there was no way in hell that I was going to take the time to adjust those as well. She-Ra is the Princess of Power. Saber is the King of Knights, so I combined both in the title card. I am proud of the work I did on this one, but I made two fatal mistakes. The first being the overlays. Even though I did use official artwork of Caster and Assassin to represent the evil forces of Hordak, similar to what was done in the original intro, the fact that the artwork doesn't match the look of the actual animation really makes them clash visually, and they stand out as invasive foreign elements. And the second mistake, the entry simply isn't funny. And honestly, when it comes to AMV Hell, that is the most important thing. And on that note, the final challenge theme was comedy.
I will kill you all. Nothing you can do about it. Squirrely rat. Squirrely rat. You're all gonna die. Squirrely rat. Squirrely rat.
This was the third entry to appear in this challenge. A part of me wishes that it was the first entry, kind of like how the whole season started with an entry from me. It would have been neat to see my video mark the beginning of the end as well, but whatever. This video is a remake of an older idea I submitted for AMV Minis. At the time, no video footage of Squirrely Wrath existed, but by the year 2017, it did exist. To be honest, I was tired. I had no ideas left, and I was pretty much done. I had made 25 videos for the AMV Minis Challenges, and I just wanted to make one final submission, and I wanted something easy. So this is something easy. No graffiti, no hidden messages, no Easter eggs, no changes to any eyes or eye colors, just a simple AMV Hell clip. There you go. And that was the end of my contributions. So, that just leaves my submission for Challenge 24, Art.
This amusement never ends. I wanna be Sledgehammer. Why don't you call my name? Oh, let me be a sledgehammer. Let there be no doubt about it. Sledge.
After I submitted this video, it received one of my favorite reactions. It was a single 3-letter word. This video would go on to receive the most votes for the art challenge, and eventually the most votes in the final destination. But it very nearly lost out to entry 14 in this challenge. Imagine seeing this in the final destination instead. Anyway, the art I was celebrating with this submission is the music video. One of the most famous and artistically creative music videos of all time is Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. So I used that as my audio source, and I attempted a loose recreation of the music video itself. The material I used to create the video came from all the winning submissions from the previous challenge rounds. So, from the top, let's list every one of them. AMV Hell, parody song, misheard lyrics, metal, sugar overdose, the 90s, K-pop, The Fox, Original Audio, Buddy System, Old Memes, Secret Santa, 2013, Beatbox, That's Not Funny, Vines, The Concept of Love, Unnecessary Censorship, The 80s, Twice, Fandom, Country Music, and Drop It. Drop It was a bit of a gamble. As I was making this video, the vote was still open for Challenge 23, and there was no guarantee that I had the winner featured, but the risk, thankfully, paid off. You may have noticed that Challenge 21 was not represented in the video. Of course it wasn't. Besides the fact that I was completely disgusted by the whole concept of its existence, and I didn't even want to acknowledge it in any way, the Challenge 21 video clearly stated that you had to vote for the loser, not the winner. Therefore, it had no business appearing in my video. The text that shows at the end originally appeared in AMV Hell 4. I felt that it made an appropriate statement to end on. AMV Hell is art. And this video was, and is, a love letter to AMV Hell itself. I specifically chose the opening lyrics to be, "This amusement never ends," because I never wanted it to end. But then it did. AMV Hell 7 was released, the challenges came to a close, and eventually AMV Hell went away. Until it came back again. Twice. Will it come back again? Will the amusement truly never end? Maybe. Maybe not, but regardless, the memories will live on. That brief period of time when I was a contributor to the AMV Minis Challenges was definitely an interesting one. There were good times and bad times, but I can honestly say this. I was happy. I was happy to be part of a fun little hobby group where I was able to create some things that, occasionally, entertained others, and for no benefit or reward other than entertaining others. And that's not such a bad way to spend your free time.